A little earlier on, I spoke to Erol Morkoc, who's a political strategist and spokesperson for Republican Overseas UK. He was also a friend of Charlie Kirk, and I began by asking him about the man he knew.
Charlie died at age 31, so when me and Charlie worked together, we were comparatively boys compared to who he is now, a man who's left behind a wife and two children. And I knew Charlie as a kind man and a generous man, and somebody who, I looked up to despite being a little bit older than him. And it was this very interesting thing to have that kind of relationship with somebody. He brought me with him to Mar-a-Lago. He was generous, and I think every single person you're going to talk to on any radio station will reiterate that, just how kind he was in person and how much he cared about what he did. And he didn't do it for the money. He didn't do it for the fame, although he had both of those things, because those things come with talent. He did it because he was passionate. He came down into the trenches in Berkeley when I was an undergrad, and he was there, the only person cataloging the experience that we went through as conservative students. He was there in the UK when I had the very great pleasure to play a small role in helping him launch Turning Point UK. And just those brief interactions with him, made me see the quality of his character. And so the loss to America in general, I think, is really exemplified, because above all else, I think Charlie wore on his sleeve his faith, and he had believed that his soul was eternally saved by Jesus Christ. And he was not afraid to share that faith. And especially, that was uncommon on a college campus, I think anywhere. And Charlie did it, and he was a cool guy, and he was a fun guy, and that's what kind of brought people to him. So I think that's what people want to be remembered as, a lion of free speech and also a man of faith who very deeply cared about what he did, and he lost his life doing that.
He attended Harper College, but he dropped out actually because he wanted to pursue political activism. So it was really in him, wasn't it? Very naturally a passion project within him.
Yeah, I mean, he went in there and he saw on his own terms the sort of the way that college campuses had become a bastion for ideological one-way thinking. Charlie Kirk, 31 years old, could have been a doctor, he could have been a lawyer, he could have been a consultant, he could have had any of these professional careers he wanted, but he believed in himself, and he believed in that ideology of free speech on campuses that was so far gone. And so you see where we are today versus where we are before Charlie Kirk. It's been a revitalization. And honestly, when I was there, I didn't believe it was possible. Charlie Kirk made something possible that I didn't believe was.
Is it getting young people involved in the conversation from a conservative perspective?
We say the term conservative and to imply that there wasn't a lot of liberalism in what Charlie's beliefs were and what my beliefs were as well, and what Turning Point's beliefs were. Like Charlie Kirk, for the first time in this last election, you had a male vote in the United States. Why is that? Because before, you always had plurality. You had maybe 51-49, so the male vote was sort of there. He didn't convince just existing men, but he brought in young men, and especially young men, and young women too. He connected so many people from around the world. And when you came into those groups, you realized, hey, this isn't a fringe group. This is like 70% really normal people and like 25% like policy nerds. And like, That's it. It was really cool, and it was different. And that's why these people got involved, because it wasn't weird if you came and met us.
Where were you, Erol, when you heard the news?
I was here in Detroit with my fiance, and I threw my phone on the couch, and I just said, I didn't believe it. I was just sitting here. It was just out of nowhere. I was just sitting there, and then somebody sent me the video. And I work in the defense industry, and when I heard that caliber, when you hear the percussion, you know what kind of round was shot. I knew he didn't make it, but you have to keep the faith alive. Well, they keep it on the news. They don't tell you, but when you've seen the shot, as some of your viewers have seen, and you know what that caliber is, your friend's dead, and that's very sad. I'm not pretending that Charlie Kirk was my best friend and that we texted every day or anything, but for the brief period of time that I had a chance to be in contact with him, he was my friend, and he was very kind to me. And many people have had that experience with Charlie, because Charlie has so many friends, and he had so many people who love him, and I think that's coming out today all around the world.
You met your fiance through Charlie Kirk, is that right, or through his organisation?
Yeah, through Turning Point. I was launching Turning Point UK, like playing a small role with Charlie. And my fiance was working. She was a coordinator in the youth organization at Michigan State, Isabel, and we met just at one of his events. I'd come back. I was dressed to the nines. I wore a tuxedo to Mar-a-Lago, so I looked pretty good that night. Thanks, Charlie. And because of that, I met the woman I'm about to marry. And Charlie played a huge role in our lives. And all he had to, just by putting his finger out there and just touching the cosmos, he changed my life. And I don't think he even knows that, really. And I never told him that. It breaks my heart.
Do you know, Errol, if he ever worried something like this could happen as he gained more fame and more followers? And obviously there's been, a string now of attacks targeting American political figures on both left and right. Is this something, do you think, that ever played in his mind as a possibility?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think it was his abject and overt faith in Jesus Christ that made him have the courage to go out there and keep doing it. There had been open threats on his life. He had a security team there. But a security team is not prepared to handle a sniper bullet. This is a college campus. And I think they could have stopped anybody who was coming in with a normal threat. But he knew the risks. And every day he went out there and he put himself on the line. And a lot of people, much respect to anybody in any country who has to do that.
You say that you knew as soon as you heard the percussion of the shot that he wasn't likely to survive the attack. And we've just learned in the last couple of hours that investigators say they've recovered a high-powered bolt-action rifle, which they believe was the weapon used in the attack. Do you think that is... I know Charlie was a very big proponent of gun rights and the Second Amendment, but do you think the fact that that's a weapon that was used again in one of these attacks is likely to be lead to any real rethink of the Second Amendment?
No rethink at all. In fact, this is exactly what Charlie talked about. And the fact that he's collateral damage in what he believed in only speaks to the testament of his faith. Because I think for everybody listening, just think about it for a second. The Second Amendment is our last stand against tyranny. And Charlie Kirk oftentimes talked about how these type of horrible events, including his own murder that came about, were part of the sacrifice required to keep that alive. And that's something that his supporters and people like myself believe, how important it is to have the right to defend yourself against the government and defend yourself against other people who are going to attack you. Charlie Kirk was pro 2A, and he would be standing here very furious at me if I ever broke ranks, because he was one of the statistics, because it's bigger than just one person. And that's how much American people believe in that part of our Constitution.
Just finally then, Errol, if we go back to where we started, as you say, a very young man with a very young family, a young wife, a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old. Will people rally around his family now, do you think, to support them, to look after them?
Oh, absolutely. I don't think there's 3 people in the world that are getting prayed for more today. These people have friends forever in families they've never met. These little girls have friends in so many people, and anything that they need, and his beautiful wife Erica, and all of them are going to be in thoughts and prayers, and will definitely be somebody who's not forgotten, and he will be truly a martyr for the free speech movement, and above all else the civil rights movement, which in the end he was a civil rights warrior.
Erol Morkoc in the US, thank you very much for joining us, and again I'm sorry for your loss.
Thank you for having me.
Well, we're also joined now by